And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be daydreaming. Yep, daydreaming about some great art. Today we're looking at the newest expansion for Dixit, called Dixit Daydreams. Actually, it's a new artist here. It's the third artist that has been used for Dixit. Let's take a look at the cards and I'll tell you what I think. Since this is an expansion for the game Dixit, you need to have the base game in order to use this expansion. So I'm not going to go over how to play the game. I'm just going to show you some of the cards and how they differ from some of the other versions. So here I have 3 rows set up. The first row here is basically from the first original game Dixit. This is from Dixit Journey, also known as Dixit 3 expansion, and this is the Dixit Daydreams that we're looking at today. Now, this is the third artist in this game, that's why I chose these 3, is the original artist, Marie Cardois, did the first Dixit and many of the expansions. Xavier Collette did Dixit Journey, or Dixit 3 it's called, and Frank Dion did this third one here. So let's take a closer look at the differences and similarities between this different type of art. Now, the ones from the first artist they're hand-drawn, and they're very sort of abstractish and very interesting with the colors and the way that they're drawn and such. And then with Dixit 3, or Journey as it's called, it was a digital art, so it wasn't really hand-drawn, it was more digitally artwork, and it was a lot cleaner, a lot crisper, a lot more cartoony, and so that actually tended to be my favorite one. And then we come up to here the Daydreams, and the Daydreams tend to have more of the qualities as the first Dixit did, with the hand-drawn and more a little abstracty, a little less crisp, a little more muted, if you will. It uses these muted colors of sort of these yellows and blues and greens and reds. They're sort of muted colors because, again, it's called Daydreams, so you got to be thinking of these are dreams. So it does fit thematically that these are sort of muted and dreamy looking. So that's sort of a look at the differences between the different types of artwork from what was original, what was newer, and what's even newer here with the third artist. Let's take a look at some more of these cards. I'm going to flip through these pretty quickly, but just to show you again those muted tones. Again, it's a center theme, a lot of detail still, a lot of very interesting pictures here. But again, it's kind of like a cross between the first artist and the second artist. Definitely much more closer to the original Dixit artwork as opposed to Journey, but still, they're very interesting nonetheless. And I don't want to show you all of these because some of these should be a surprise to you, but just to give you a little, we'll go through maybe half of them here or a quarter of them so you can see how they do look here. So yeah. Very interesting. Obviously, again, you can make up so many different things with these. And if I didn't know this was a different artist, I might have thought this was just the first artist, because again, they do look very similar in style, yet they are different. I mean, you can definitely tell there is a difference there, but it is more like that one. So these are sort of many of the cards that's in Dixit Daydreams. All right, well, there's Dixit Daydreams. As I mentioned in the overview, when Dixit came out, the original, I liked it, but I personally preferred the second artist, Xavier Collette's, the one that was in Dixit, the third expansion, Dixit 3, or also now known as Dixit Journey. To me today, that is still personally, it's just a personal preference. That is my favorite artwork from the game. The digital, crisp, almost cartoony images I like. As I mentioned in the overview, this one is much more like the first artist, who did many of the expansions as well. That style of hand and brushing techniques. This one's a little interesting because it has those muted colors, the muted greens, the blues, sort of the cloudiness to it. It has that aura to it. It definitely has a different feel than the other ones. And it definitely mixes with the first better than the second. So what I mean there is when I play with the Dixit Journey, I almost play with that one by itself. Because when I mixed that one in with the original Dixit, the styles are so different that for some reason they just don't seem to go together that well. I would say the same thing if you were mixing Dixit Journey with this one. The styles don't match up as well. But if you're mixing Dixit Daydreams with any of the other expansions that the first artist Marie did, or the original game, I think they mix quite well together. And those are the ones that most people have. So I think for most people, if they're looking to get more more mileage out of Dixit, and you have the first artists or the original with some of their expansions, or even not. Even if this is your first expansion, if you have the original Dixit game, these are going to mix in well. They're going to look similar. I'm not even quite 100% sure you'd be able to tell it's a different artist unless I told you, because they are similar, yet they are different, if that makes any sense. Anyway, another good addition to Dixit. Anytime new cards come out with this, I love them. Dixit Daydreams.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.